a bit of power, get some noise happening. V8 power. Soon you won't be able to get a V8 engine with the Nissan Patrol. This is the MY25 update. Y62, yes, it's still on sale, even though the Y63 has been unveiled with a twin turbo V6 petrol engine. That's not coming to Australia until 2026, in the later stages of 2026. So for now, all you have is this, the Y62 body. It's the same vehicle, just the interior has been updated. It's finally got the center stack dash fascia from the Nissan Armada from a few years ago actually. It's just better integrated into the dash design. There's 3 variants on sale in Australia, the Ti, the Ti-L and the Warrior. We're going to test them all today. This is the Ti-L. The main difference is the front bumper bar on the Ti-L is just a bit more luxurious and it kind of protrudes out at the bottom. It's got this chrome detailing and stuff. Just looks a bit more premium from the front end. But I think it does damage the approach angle slightly. I'll flash up the exact angles now. You also get some different luxuries and so on inside. It basically looks exactly the same as the 2024 model and before that. The interesting part is the Nissan Warrior came out with an updated touchscreen in 2024 and it was only for the Warrior. So the local outlet, Premcar, had this custom touchscreen embedded into the dash, which did improve the look of the dash. And then now, a year later, all of them, including the Warrior, gets the latest setup. So I kind of feel bad for the people that bought the 2024 model with the older system, but you could kind of say that with any car, really. There's always an update that comes out. There's always a change around the corner. It does look heaps better than before, but one thing I do find is there's a lot of different stuff going on. So we've got some marble stuff on the dash, which is kind of like a wood grain or an ash wood grain. Then we've got chrome door handles and chrome trimmings around the windows, power windows and around here. But then you've got this brushed aluminium effect around this new stuff. So even the drive mode toggle here, that's all brushed aluminium, even the little inlay there. And then you've got piano black up here with piano black buttons, but then matte buttons down here. It's definitely a lot of mix and matching going on. And even the climate vents, if you look at that one on the passenger side, they're different to the one on the center fascia here. So they're all, yeah, there's a lot of mixing and matching going on, and obviously this has been updated and enhanced and updated over its 10-year lifespan pretty much. Does that really matter? Well, to a customer, probably not. They're going to walk into the Nissan dealership and just think that this is how it is. But if you've known the Y62 and known all the sort of updates they've made, yeah, you can kind of pick out all the little spots and little differences. As before though, I've got plenty of room. This is one of the biggest SUVs you can buy in Australia. We'll jump into the back and I'll show you the rear seat room. It's just, yeah, you've got more than enough space. Headroom is great. This has got the sunroof, just a little one. It's not a full panoramic roof or anything like that. And then the MY25 also comes with an updated instrument cluster with this digital section in the middle. So if you remember the pre-facelifted version, it had this narrow little, very crude rectangular digital section with not much else, and then the dials on the outside. Whereas this, you've got different display modes and so on. You've got an off-road display as well. Yeah, lots more different configurations and displays. There's your off-road pages. This touchscreen is also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay compatible, so it wasn't for quite a long time. Then you do have separated out climate controls down below. You've also got a hand controller down here, so you can still go through the different options from here. You don't have to actually reach up to the screen. It's a bit weird how it's on such an angle. It's really slanted back, which does pick up some reflection sometimes, depending on where the sun is up here. It can pick up some reflection. It'd be good if it was just tilted just a little bit more towards the driver. But it is good having it high up like that, so you can be driving along and you just have to glance across. You don't have to look down to where the old one was. And then, yeah, up at the back, look at that leg room. It's absolutely crazy amount of leg room. It's unfortunate that you can't slide the middle row forward though. I think that would actually benefit even more, because if you want access to the third row, they've got that much leg room, which is actually quite good. I'll jump in there in a second, but you can't, if you want just a little bit more, you could edge this middle row forward. I've got a decent amount of room back here for a third row in an SUV anyway. I'm 170 centimeters, so I'm pretty short. But yeah, I've got more than enough headroom. It's the leg room that kind of is limited a little bit. Like my knees are slightly raised and they are pretty much hard up against the second row. So if you could slide that forward just a little bit, I think I'd be much more comfortable. But even in saying that, kids are going to be fine back here, and I can just kind of, you know, move my legs apart a little bit, and it's pretty comfortable. I could spend some time back here and not get too uncomfortable. You do have cup holders at the back and climate vents up in the ceiling for both rows. Even with the third row up, you've still got a decent amount of boot space. Probably doesn't look like it on camera, but that goes in quite a bit forward. You're not going to get 7 people's worth of luggage in there, but say you're picking up your kids from school, taking them to soccer, and they want to bring their mate along, you're going to have enough room there for quite a few school bags and some gear. And if you flip down the seats, look at all that length. So all the way to the second row, that is a massive boot. All right, we'll go for a bit of a drive on the road first, just to kind of refresh our minds of what this is like on the road. And then we'll hit the dirt. I'll go in both the Ti or the Ti-L and the Warrior. I am going to miss this V8 engine because it's just such a good sound, and it's got that instant torque. Like, it just picks up straight away. The 7-speed is also fairly well matched, I reckon. Like if it was 6-speed, you know, you'd need a little bit more torque just to pull through the longer gearing. But with an 8, it'd probably change gear too often, whereas 7 seems to be a good mix, where it's just got enough torque to pull through relatively long gearing, but it's still quite sharp and sporty. The Warrior version, I'm currently driving the Ti or the Ti-L. The Warrior version, I like the suspension in that more because this does have a little bit of body movement. It's kind of, you know, got a little bit of body roll and so on. Obviously that's great for off-roading, but yeah, on country roads like this where you've got these big long sweeping bends, it's just leaning a little bit more than I would like. Again, for this style of vehicle, you've got to understand and appreciate that this thing can go off-road fairly seriously. So it's gonna have loose suspension, but yeah, the Warrior definitely feels a bit more taut. You know, it might not be as comfortable in certain specific conditions, but I would prefer that over this. This is just definitely more comfort oriented. If you're doing a lot of driving along the highways, doing a lot of, you know, big trips around Australia or whatever, then this is going to be more comfortable. It's just cruising along, soaks up the bumps really well. I guess the big tires also take some of the impacts. In terms of the handling, yeah, like it's okay. It just got a bit of body roll. You can't expect it to be a, you know, sports car around corners, but there's just a little bit of lean, and the steering is kind of touchy on center, but then as you sort of make more, dial in more lock, it relaxes and backs off a little bit, which is kind of unusual. It just means when you're on the highway and you want to change lanes, you don't need to move the steering wheel much at all. And it's kind of got this tippy sort of feeling if you're a bit loose with the steering. It feels mechanical though. It's definitely very raw and sending through feedback as you need it. Around big sweeping bends, it's okay. It sort of braces itself a little bit. It's not too bad. It's just when you get into tight, twistier stuff that the body roll becomes more apparent. We're heading out to an off-road proving ground, and we'll check out the performance there, where I guess this vehicle belongs and kind of is mainly engineered for. I won't bother doing the V-Box timing on this one, but I'll just show you the acceleration. Just give you a bit of an idea. Full throttle. And that's 100. I've timed 0 to 100 about 50 on 50 different occasions with the Y62 over the years, and I think the best I've ever got is around 7.3 maybe. I might have dipped into 6s on one occasion, and it just depends on the weather and so on. But yeah, it's a quick vehicle for its size. This V8 engine is, yeah, it loves revving out, but yet it still provides heaps of low-end grunt. It's going to be a shame when this engine goes, actually. The V6 sounds like a pretty sweet engine as well though, lots more torque and more power, so it should be good. But yeah, the sound of this V8 alone is to die for, you know. It's a really nice sound. In terms of fuel economy, we're averaging around 14 litres per 100 kilometres. You could definitely get that lower. I've seen lower than that when you're just cruising around on the highways and so on. you know, maybe dipping into the 12s or something. It's not super fuel efficient, but you've got to remember this vehicle's size and weight. So anything this size and weight is going to chew fuel unless it's a hybrid or fully electric, obviously. But you do have to weigh in the fact that this is quite a lot cheaper than the equivalent. Well, its direct rival is obviously the Toyota Land Cruiser 300 series. This is, you know, up to around $50,000 cheaper, depending on the variant. So just use that $50,000 for fuel, and you'll be driving for, you know, 3 or 4 years before the cost starts to overlap, or even further, depending on your driving style and depending on which variant you're looking at. So we're just going to start in the entry sort of Ti and Ti-L, and we'll get stuck into the Warrior in a minute. But I don't know what the course is exactly, but they said we are going to go through this big puddle thing, and then there's a bog hole over the other side that's got some sprinklers on. They said just go through in 4H to start with. We will try out low range at some point, I'm sure, and we'll test out the hill descent control. So to start with, looks like we're going to do some little mounds. We can test out the approach, breakover and departure. Even though these are very long vehicles, they've got decent angles and decent clearance. Obviously the Warrior is the one you want if you're going to do this sort of stuff all the time. But yeah, this is no problem at all for this big beast. We've got the tyre pressures at the standard placard road pressures. We haven't let them down or anything, but they have said it's not too serious. Like, these are obviously very capable vehicles. They're just showing us or reminding us what they can do in a kind of mild to moderate off-road scenario. This is where the new surround view camera comes in handy. So you're coming across a bit of a crest or a fairly steep crest. You can't see what's over the other side. So just hit this button down here and I'll activate the surround view camera. And that way I've got a view of what's going on over the front there. Kind of like parking in a tight car park. You've got lane markings kind of thing as well. Yeah, because you never know what's over the other side of a big crest. It could be a log or a rock or whatever. At least that will give you an idea that's, yeah, there's nothing there, or there's a creek crossing or whatever. None of this stuff is, you know, that challenging for the Patrol, but if you, again, if you want to do some serious off-roading regularly, then the Warrior is the one to pick. But if you just want to do some camping, but mostly touring around Australia and whatever, and you might encounter stuff like this, this is no problem at all. You wouldn't even have to select any mode. You just drive straight through it. There'd be no issue. This looks like a good spot. We can test out the hill descent control. Just hit the button there and it will keep the car stable, apply the brakes to separate wheels to make sure it's, yeah, just stays nice and straight. I've got my feet completely off the pedals at the moment. You can slow the car down a little bit, add a bit of braking, and it will just pick it up there. Sounds a bit weird, but it's just the brakes being applied individually. And that way all you got to do is concentrate on the steering. So at the moment I'm kind of stuck in the rut a little bit. I'll just slowly turn out of it, let the edge of the tyre pick it up. But you could just go straight through the ruts. It's not too deep.
Yep, all good.
Yeah, I think hill descent control is just one of those technologies that it's not, you know, it's not super advanced, but it just helps you remain very safe and secure when you're going down something steep. And if it's slippery or wet, then it's something you don't have to worry about. You know, you just let the vehicle do it and it will remain very stable. I've never encountered a hill descent control that just, yeah, let the car slip away. If I had to use the brakes or use the gearing, you know, you just got to be a bit more mindful. Whereas with hill descent control, kind of just let it go and just concentrate on the steering. This might not look super steep on camera, but it is quite steep. We'll check out this little gauge to see what it says. It's in degrees. It's nice and dry, so there shouldn't be any traction issues. What's that? It's saying 3 degrees at the moment. 4. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. 12 degrees. 14, 13. Yeah, so it's fairly steep. If that was wet, that'd be a bit more challenging. But as it is, no problem at all. So here we've got the camera again, so I can see what's going on in front of me. There seems to be a bit of a stick or a shrub there, so I'll just whack it in reverse and we can get around that easily. We've got a side view here as well we can look at, so that way if you're going through a rut or something, you can keep an eye on that. Alright, we'll try out low range. You just push the dial down, rotate it around, give it a second in neutral, even take your foot off the brake, let it roll a little bit, and it'll click into gear. Limited driver's aid VDC setting off.
All cars, so it's when brand new cars square cut gears, they sometimes don't want to mesh in.
It's interesting vehicles with low range that have this much power, because 298 kilowatts and low range, it means you've got so much torque coming through those wheels. If you get bogged or something like that, or you want to pull someone out, these are absolute machines for that sort of thing, because it's got both torque and power working for it. And we'll see how we go up this little steep bit. I'll try and get that display back for you. Here we go. 9 degrees, 10 degrees, 11, 12, 14. It peaked out at about 17 degrees. Not crazy difficult, but nice little challenge. And I think we're going to go through this big water splash thing. We'll see the maroon car up there go through nice and slow.
Now heading into the water crossing, it's 600 mil deep.
There we go.
The way to drive through, just nice, slow and steady. Don't go roaring into it. Just nice, steady, at a sort of good walking pace. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, there we go. So 600 millimeters deep, which is pretty deep. I think the water wading depth of these is about 800. So even now, I can't really see that car in front. If I put the camera on, you straight away know where you're standing. It would actually be good if that stayed on, because it keeps flickering away, even in low range. Like the Ford Ranger, I think if you push the off-road button, it'll have the cameras there all the time. I'm sure there's a set speed threshold where it disappears. But yeah, if that was just a little bit higher, it remained on, because otherwise you're just looking at nothing anyway, so you might as well just...
The front camera's starting to beep. On the screen there's a P and a warning signal. You touch that, it turns the beeper off.
It'd actually be better if it was bigger as well. Like, you've got all this black space here. Why not just have that whole front section here and then this little side view on the side there? I don't quite get that, but anyway.
Your parking sensor is noting there's something in front of you. It's called water, and it's going a bit haywire. You can push that parking sensor off while it goes through the water.
Be cool if the camera is actually lower than the water line, then you could see under the water and see the fish swimming around. It's getting pretty close. This is where the Warrior would definitely...
There's a steep one here too, so you can put the forward facing camera on, change the view so you can see the complete front of the car, and just take it slow, because this is quite a steep one, so don't go roaring off over the hill.
throw up a bit of mud, why not? Yeah, that's, I think with the Warrior is better suited if you're doing more serious off-roading, because the tyres can just rip into the mud a bit better, whereas that was kind of skating across the top as you'd expect. As I said though, this is a great package, straight out of the box. You can do pretty serious off-roading with these things. Got diff lock, low range and all of that. Got more than enough power, and even in the standard sort of Ti and Ti-L variant, you can get through most tracks and situations. It's just if you are looking to do more hardcore stuff, then the Warrior. So we'll get into the Warrior now and check out that. Alright, now the big Warrior beast. So this has got the side exit exhaust, which I reckon does limit the breakover angle a little bit, but it's only in very specific scenarios. But overall you've got, yeah, more clearance anyway, you've got the off-road tyres and all that, so it kind of compensates anyway. With the upgraded suspension, I reckon it is a little bit more, or it is more braced and better prepared for hard impacts, which means if you're driving along a country road and there's lots of corrugations and so on, it might not be as, you know, absolute comfortable compared with the standard model, but you're going to have better bracing. So if you hit a sudden pothole or something like that, this is going to be better prepared. I actually like the look of it too. It's got little wheel arch extensions that just make it look a bit more fat from behind. So we're in low range now, just letting the gearing take me down very slowly. Back to first. And we've got a steep climb up the other side by the looks of it. Give it a bit of power, get some noise happening. Yeah, these tyres are awesome. Like, this is slippery here, but it's gripping on quite nicely. It's going to be interesting to test the new V6 model actually. Without the sound, is it going to make the, you know, enjoyment less? I don't know. It does have more power and more torque, but I would definitely miss this V8, and I think a lot of fans will miss it as well. I just wish they put it into something else, just to, I don't know, give it a bit more of a lifespan in Australia. Like put it in, I don't know, Navara Raptor. That's getting pretty steep. 20 degrees. 21, 22, 23. I've got a bit of a bog hole. Easy. There we go. Although what we did here wasn't very challenging, I think it represents what a typical buyer would be willing to put their, you know, $100,000 SUV through. It can definitely go off-road very good. And if you're going to do some regular off-roading, then the Warrior is obviously the pick. But even as standard though, the Ti and Ti-L are going to get you through to most camping spots and whatever. And if you're doing some towing, obviously these things are good for that too. And they have heaps of room. So if you've got, you know, a big family, you can actually use that third row, and yeah, everyone is comfortable and you've still got boot space. For more information, you can check out the full written review linked in the description of this video.